Good evening, TDN listeners and viewers. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Interview. It is February the 22nd, 2023. More importantly, it is Ash Wednesday in Dominica, Ash Wednesday in Trinidad and Carriacou, and some of the other places that celebrated Carnival. Um, Coming out of this huge festivity from Samedi Gua, even before that, and into the weekend with the Calypso shows, Queen shows, and all the other reveling and all the parties and so on. It is Ash Wednesday. I guess if you're Catholic, you go take your ashes. Everybody else, you just go soak your feet and nurse your sore legs. So welcome to This Week in Interview. I am your host, Anthony Drago. I want you to share the live because tonight I'm very excited to bring you the topic of tonight's, uh, which is food, right? Not just food, but how do we make our food better? How do we make our food better? So you want to stay tuned, you want to share the live, you want to invite people to join us because my guest tonight is Miss Adelaide Paul from Dekkade Foods Incorporated, and she has some really wonderful sauces that's just going to spice up any recipe. She's been doing it for a while, and from all the reports and feedback, it is a stellar product. And so, as part of our This Week in Interview drive to support small business, to support entrepreneurship, and to support self-development. Every so often we bring somebody such as Adelaide on, and she can tell us about her product. She can give us some hints as to how she got her business started, because so many of you are business owners now. Since COVID, so many more people have turned their hobbies into enterprises. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But in the meantime, if you're listening to me from Dominica, although almost everybody will be too tired to be listening, they might be asleep. But if you are, you're listening to me on RVR Jams on DigiPlay channel 59. I want to say a special good night to you. And also on SBE Radio in Toronto. Special good night to you as well. And those, of course, who irregular, a lot of regular listeners who come back and join us on Facebook, on This Week in Interview Facebook page. They join us on TDN Radio Facebook page or on TDN TV, because some people don't do Facebook. So we have tdntv.net and we have YouTube, TDN Network 1. And so share the live, send the link to someone that you know, let them know of this wonderful Dominican-based product that is just going to add, spice and vigor and flavor to your life as you add it to your cooking. Because we know that not only that spices add flavor, but some spices actually have really essential minerals and nutrients that helps our bodies as micronutrients. And so spices are not just for taste. They actually have a function in the body that has to do with, just really properly making full use of the food that we eat. Some of it helps with our digestive system. Some of them help with our blood flow. Some of it helps our skin, our nails, our hair. And so um, we know that spices are more than just flavoring. I am going to go and introduce you. I'm not taking a break. I have this joke on myself because I have done the CARICOM anthem for years. But I am done with CARICOM. So for now, anyway, until it changes, I will find a different music to play at the start of the show, because um, you cannot be disappointed with the organization year after year after year and keep pushing the anthem. So for now, I'm not doing the CARICOM anthem. I will do incidental music. But tonight, because I'm so excited about the product that I'm going to present to you, and my guest is someone that I've known for years, and I was just telling her before the show that I could not believe that she had not been on this weekend interview before. So let's give a very, very warm, long overdue welcome to Miss Adelaide Paul. Adelaide, Addie, as we call you affectionately, it is a pleasure to have you on this weekend interview. Welcome. Is your mic muted?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah,
No,
okay, yeah, you know.
not. Yeah. Thank you, and thank you, Tony, for having me. And yes, we do go quite a bit back, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I really hope that tonight's show is going to be something that will really be entertaining plus informative for a lot of people.
It's going to be, how can it not be? It's about food and not just about food, about making food better, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I'm going to start there and then we will segue back into telling people who you are because front and center are your products.
Yes.
You are the founder and CEO of Dekkade Foods Incorporated. And what I see is, you know, just wonderfully packaged sauces, as what I call it, or condiments, or if you want to call it. And you'll tell us exactly what category it falls in. And just looking at the packaging, it looks like it's really professionally done. And from the reviews, the packaging is not all. The contents and the taste and the flavor really keeps that promise that you get from the packaging. So what I want you to do is to tell us about Dekkade Foods. What is the concept behind the creation of the company Dekkade Food, and what is the vision that you have for it?
Certainly. So, Decade Foods, as the word is not a usual common name. It does sound like decade, which means 10. Hence the reason for the number 10. But it is actually a play on several other words and several other meaningful words to me. When I decided to come up with that, the name of a business, that was quite a while ago. I would say it was back in 2016, 2017. I came up with the business, the concept of a business and naming the business when my sister, who is so dear to me, may her soul rest in peace, Anne, had suddenly passed. And Anne and I were extremely, extremely close.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. And when Anne passed, it had such a profound effect on me. And so when I went home to bury her and I came back up, I was just so broken. And one of the places that I always find refuge is in the kitchen, ever since
Mm.
I was a little girl. And so with everything else that I do, I always loved, creating things. And so at that time, I kind of started playing around with different things. And I said, well, I have to start a company and I need to name it. And so I started playing with words. I always, when growing up as a kid, I always loved, whenever I would be studying, putting words together to remember, creating acronyms for me to remember, formulas, and just that was my main method of studying, or one of the ways that I studied. And so when I decided to come up with it, I wanted it to truly be a representation of me and everything that I stand for. So I came up with the decade, and just to let you know that decade does have a meaning to it. So decade, the D in decade stands for Dominica because I am Dominican to the bone. So
Dominican to the bone.
yes, yes. So I mean that's a whole another topic by itself. But
Mhm.
D in decade does stand for Dominica, and that's something I came up with almost about 8 years ago. The name of the company. The E, I wanted it to be an enterprise, so the E stands for enterprise, a Dominican enterprise. Of I have one dear child, um, and his name is Kyle Kelsick. So I took the K and the K in his first and his last name. So that's Dekk. And of course, everybody knows me. Everyone who knows me affectionately for Addie, and I added the ADE. So that created the decade. And in some ways, I looked at my life, and every decade of my life was such a significant transformation that I said, well, that does stand for decade. And decade is a play on the word decade, which is Decade, but it's Dekkade. So why not? That's another transformational time for me. So that's the reason I came up with the word decade. And so to I guess symbolize decade, that's the reason there is 10. And the foods, of course, is Decade Foods. The company is actually registered as Decade LLC, but there'll be subsidiaries of Decade. So Decade Foods is one of those subsidiaries of actually Decade. There will be more, but Decade Foods is one of those. And
As
it's not incorporated. It's not a corporation. It's an LLC. Yeah.
that is a wonderful story. So, Decade, Dominican Enterprise, and the KK is your child,
Yes.
and A is you. So you have so much of your identity
Mm-hmm.
embedded in that company. You know, for the month of January, we did awareness month in January. I had Dr. Trippy and Cleo, Dr. Pascal, and so and a bushman, the bushman, talking about herbs and health. But it
Mm-hmm.
was all about being aware. And a big part of being aware is being able to understand your identity and what your identity comprises of. What does it mean when you say you're a Dominican? What does that mean to you when you say you are a woman, when you say you're a black woman, when you say you are a mother, a wife, any one of those things that um, instructs what your identity is, what you identify, and you manage to capture so many of them in
Thank
that one word. It's fascinating.
thank
You're Dominican, you're enterprising, your child, yourself, and the whole business stuff. And you mentioned two things. When I was a little girl, I always cooked, you know, and I always played with words, and
Mhm.
so it's really a wonderful story how you were able to sit and embody that. It shows a tremendous amount of creativity.
Thank you.
So I wondered what it was, and the first few times I saw, I think the first time I was introduced to your product, we were at the flag raising ceremony in Connecticut. I think it's the first time I remember coming across you, and you had I think it was there, right? You were on display at the flag raising in Connecticut, with Dotsac, and I remember the product from that time, and quite honestly, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it at first.
I know that's fine. And you see, that is for me. It has to create something. It has to create conversation. And if it was just the regular, when you're actually creating the name of a company, I mean, from all the marketing, because my bachelor's degree is in marketing, they will tell you create something that rolls off the tongue of of your customers. People can remember. It's simple, easy. And then you'll have other people who will say, well, here is this particular company who has this weird name that nobody can really pronounce, and they're out there, and it because of the fact that they differentiate, they're different in what they do. It's differentiated. People remember. And so sometimes I say, well, maybe I should have created something that's easy, because sometimes people say, what, how do you say it? Dekkade, decade, dakada, and it's okay, because it is a conversational piece. It's
Exactly.
it generates conversation. And oftentimes when I'm out in the field, it's wonderful for people when they ask the question, and then they're like, oh my God, it really also that's decade, so
Exactly. Yeah, that was how I was when I was like, oh yeah. And once you see it, it's so obvious, right? And
yes,
and so that makes it memorable.
yes.
Because at first you struggle and you're like, what is this? And then you find it, oh yeah, how could it be anything else? You ask yourself.
And then you see the 10, so you'll always remember it's decade.
Exactly. So it makes it memorable in that sense. And I mean, you want to tell us about your sister that helps for you to do that?
Anne, oh wow, Anne was just wow. And it
I don't want to make you cry on screen, so
No,
don't,
no,
right?
no.
Okay.
Yes, isn't it?
But
Um,
I mean, did you guys cook together? Did you guys enjoy food together?
Interestingly, Anne wasn't Anne loved making pastries and everything to do with baking was
Mhm.
she
Mhm.
made great cakes and pastries and these types of things. Interest, I love cooking. I love the kitchen. Pastries and cakes, I'm not big on. I
Right.
will do everything else with food, but I'm not. We didn't. I can't really say we cooked together growing up as kids. We were just really extremely close. I
Closer.
think, or in many ways, we were quite similar. We were similar and different in many ways. They say I look like Anne a lot. We resemble each other. Also, the A in Adi in Decade also stands for
Mm-hmm. That's in there
Anne.
too. Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, Anne and my mom Angie and my sister Althea, because in our family we have four M's. My dad was Morrison. My mom is Angela. So they between she had six of us. So three of the kids got names of M. And three of us is Alfie, Anne, and Addie, Adelaide. And so yeah, so the my sister and naming decade, the A I always remember. To me, for her, in decade, the A represents Anne. So, and Anne was just a beautiful soul. I mean, she was that type of person who would take the shirt off of her back and give to anybody. She was so such a simple person, so humble, very easygoing. She was just sweet and nice and beautiful. And one of the things I think, I just, as we grew up, we were so connected and we were so close that one of the things I realized growing up that I will be honest, she was taken advantage of many times because of her niceness, and she was not the type of person to speak up for herself, and maybe through
Just
just,
like you, right?
oh, I'm a different now. I don't you know that. But yeah, but I mean, I consider myself a nice person, but
No, I didn't say you were not nice, but I was talking about the part about speaking up, not
speaking
speaking up
up,
for
yeah,
yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
she was such a sweet person, and oftentimes I would say, and you have to speak up for yourself, and I think that she was just that type of person. She had the biggest heart in the world. She was so sweet and so gentle, and I mean, right before she died, and she took care of every cat and every chicken, and she was surrounded with just animals right before she passed. And that was her. She just had that beautiful soul. So yeah, Anne is always there in my heart, and every time I say Decade, I do remember Anne, because the A in Decade does stand for Anne also.
Yeah. So you have so much wrapped up, so much of yourself wrapped up into Decade, your company. How does that inform you in terms of the drive for excellence, the quality of products that you want to put out there? Just talk about that whole how you go about crafting the products that you eventually decide to present to the market.
Yeah. Well, when I started Decade, that was about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. I really did not start with the sauces. I started Decade with the punch. So I started doing the rum punch and the passion fruit punch and the peanut punch.
Mhm.
And that was essentially the start of the product. And, I had this idea and I had this vision, and life happens. Life happens. My son was getting ready to go to college, so many things. There were so many drastic changes. And I just, at one point, I to really drastic changes. And I just shelved everything. I put it, closed it, put it away. And I went through some major changes, forgot about it. And so, during COVID, while I was home, I went back into teaching. Some reason teaching always finds me. As much as I try to run away from teaching, I swear to God, every time this thing finds me, and I keep asking God, why is it that you always send me back in education as an educator? And so I had left before I started. I'd left. I used to be teaching at a medical assistant school. I taught all the professional courses over there. I was teaching adults at the time, and then I stopped and I started Decade, and I wanted Decade, and then I stopped Decade, and I went back into the classroom. That time I went back into high school. I started teaching high school. That's the first time I taught high school in the US. Prior to that, I was teaching at another college, Bramson College, where I also taught business courses. And so when I got back into teaching, I taught for one. Then the COVID happened, the pandemic happened, and we were all there, just like I'm sitting in front of my computer screen with you tonight. I was in front of the students every day teaching, and I'm like, God, I just feel I need to do something. I need to do something. And the irony is, my son, he was off at college, and he needed me to find some documents for him. So I went in this filing cabinet and I just started pulling out stuff. I'm like pulling out, going rummaging for the stuff, and all of a sudden, boom. Because when I started Dekkade the first time, it was just a sole proprietorship. I had not registered as an LLC, but I
Mhm.
did have. I remember I'd taken part in a business plan competition with. At the time, it was, I don't know if it was still called the QEDC, the Queens Economic Development Center, but we done it on our own. And as I'm there, I have to pause because Jeffers was there. He'd been with me from day one when I first started Dekkade. I remember when we were doing, going through the first part of doing the first business plan competition, and we were just trying our best. We were going to this Saturday. They used to have this, you have to go to at the time they used to have these classes that you were supposed to attend, and we had no idea what we were doing. I created this whole business plan, and so this business plan, I had submitted it for the competition. It of course didn't even make it through the first round, but it was a start. And I shoved it away. And so while I was going through the stuff and to look for I remember some documents for Kyle, I pulled it out, and there it was. I was like, oh my God, look at this thing. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at it. And I'm like, oh wow. And so I decided, I think it was in 20, it started 2021. So that was 2020, December of 2020, when we kind of started understanding the pandemic a little more. We had gone for almost the first year of the pandemic. I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to this. And I wanted to feel more fulfilled, because to me, although I was teaching, I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And so I pulled it up and I said, I'm going to start this over. The first thing I did was the punches, and I started advertising them on social media. And then I started getting a lot of orders for all the punches. But I knew that at that point, I didn't want it to just be, a hobby. I don't want it to be something that I was going to stash away. So I said, this thing has to be a business. This is going to be my life. This is going to be what I do, because every time I go in the kitchen and I go search for bottles, and I sit and I create products and I bottle them, I feel alive. I'm happy. I'm excited. I feel that life flowing through me. And so I decided to do it a different, instead of just going and just say, okay, I have a hobby, I'm going to do it. I went through the proper channels. And so I think I signed back up with, did I sign up? No, I did not sign up with QDC. I just decided to start. But I started doing my own little research here and there. And then the very first thing I did was through the research, I said I wanted an LLC. Do we watch it?
Mhm.
Channels and stuff. So I registered it as an LLC. Then I opened the bank account for the business, and then I knew I wanted to start producing the sauces, which is the pastonade. And so but when I oh prior to that, I had already done, in the first time when I started back in 2016, I had already started working on the pastinates, but I'd never brought it to the market. What I'd done was I'd done the research, I had created it, I sent it out for testing at Cornell University, which is where, when you're doing a food product, you're supposed to test it for this shelf stability, to make sure that it has all the necessary shelf life. It doesn't things don't get contaminated, or it doesn't poison people and people sick. So I was able to send it over there, and so they had given me what they call a schedule process. And the schedule process essentially tells you the way the product is supposed to be produced. You have every exact measurement, so every batch you do is going to be exact. So I sent it out. I had it with me too. So I decided to go revisit it in 2021 after I registered the company. Now I was torn between, should I start scaling up the paston? Well, I say pastonade. When I'm out there, most people call it pastonade. I said, should I scale up the pastonade, or should I focus more on the punches? And of course, once I started working on the pastonnette a bit. I remember when I did my first batch of pastonnette to ship out to many of my customers, and I was so excited. I did them and I packaged them and I shipped them out, let everybody try it, because you kind of have to make people try it. And one of the things that I realized was, when I send them out, people send me pictures, and I realized, oh my goodness, it had it was different in the bottle from what I'd produced. It looked very different. So I was like, wow, if I send that out and I sell it in the grocery store, what's going to happen? It changed. And so I had to go back and revisit. You know how many batches of pasta I did?
So before we get into that much
Yes.
of this is pretty good. um, for the listeners who are aspiring to start their business, I think you drop quite a few gems in there. You know, doing your business plan, deciding what type of entity you're going to create. In your case, you did an LLC. There
Mhm.
are other type of entities that can be created. A lot of people do LLC, which stands for limited liability company, which, if it's done properly, can separate you from the company, and therefore the company can carry its own liability if it's done properly. If you don't mix your personal stuff with it, and it's carried on as a separate entity. So, and then you get your tax number, you said, and you went to the bank, you did your bank account, and then you were in business, right? Because now you have a business there, you have a bank account, you have whatever, so now you're in business.
Doing business, absolutely.
So those are important steps for folks that who want to start a business. And also the big hurdle also of you talked about sending it out to, was it Cornell University, you said?
Cornell is the when you're doing food products, in order for them to approve it, except for certain things like certain baked goods, you can they call them oh gosh, what do they call them? I forgot. Farmers something. You can
Okay.
actually produce them from home. But when you talk about other products that you want to, especially if you want to have them in the stores, you must send them out to Cornell. Now, the reason they use Cornell is that Cornell is subsidized by the state of New York. And it's one of those, I think Cornell University has the best testing center for food. They have an extremely fantastic agriculture and food and agriculture university, the entire university. So they do all types of testing. Now, if I were to send these products out and do them privately, of course you can do them privately if you have funding. But when you talk about starting a small business, you want to cut costs as much as possible. And one of the beautiful things, and I don't want to deviate or
No,
digress.
no, no, no. This is very important in case
Yeah,
there are folks who
yes,
wonder how
yes,
to do something like that.
yes.
Mhm.
So like the other day, I'm working on these new products that I've been again experimenting with, and I've been waiting on Cornell for my schedule process for my hot sauces, and it's called the schedule process. um I have a YouTube channel that I started to really talk about all those things. I do have to update it with that very schedule process, because it's a little story, but
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
it's called Decades of Cooking.
Decades of
Yeah,
Cooking, but spelled like decade, right?
Decades of
Okay.
Cooking, which is the cooking one, and then you have the Food Startup 101, which really talks about the things that I'm talking about right now.
Right. Okay.
So, but anyway, I inquired just about a month ago. It's private company for getting a schedule process, and just to get a schedule process can run you anywhere for between $2,000 for one product, and if you have like three, four, five products, imagine the cost. At
Right.
Cornell University, it's like 40 something dollars per product.
Wow.
That's what they do, and that's
Wow.
they encourage everybody to when you have your products, work with Cornell. um Another thing is, in order for you to get those products on the shelves, you can't produce them from home. They must be produced at a commercial kitchen or an incubator. Currently, our pastonates are produced at Stony Brook University, where it's over in Calverton, out in Suffolk County in Long Island. and that's where we produce. I mean, you can get commercial kitchens throughout the area. There is one in Long Island City that they really wanted me to use, but the problem with there is that New York City is such a highly densely populated area that whenever we needed time for production, it was difficult to schedule production because there's so many people producing hot sauces and marinades and cakes and all kinds of products. So when we go out to Stony Brook, it's easy. You can just schedule easily over there. But that is a commercial kitchen that's approved by the state. They are tested regularly. I just got an email just 2 days ago from them, and you have this surprise inspections by the state, and they were just sending notifications to all the people who produce there, asking them, make sure you have your hairnets and make sure you have your gloves on and make sure you don't eat in the facility where you're producing. You cannot have it is so strict over there. So once you get that schedule process, then you can scale up and create your big batches of products based on that one recipe that you have. All you do, you just have to scale up the measurement, so you can always have that recipe that is always it's always the same. It doesn't change.
Consistency. No, certainly. So Ali, we are at the bottom of the hour, so it's time to take a quick break. Get a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're really going to introduce the audience to the product, right?
Yes.
Audience, I hope that you support Addie and she gets some sales. We want you to really support her. Don't put it off. She'll tell you how to get it. Place your order, try it, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Presented by. People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
If you live in Canada, the US, and the UK and are looking for Dominica products including cocoa sticks, bay rum, coffee, soaps, crafts, and other popular Dominica items, then look no further. You can now shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, a secure, easy-to-navigate website selling a wide variety of Dominica-made and Dominica-inspired products. When you shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, you are helping to grow Dominica's economy. Go to BuyDominicaOnline.com and enjoy home away from home.
Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com. or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Welcome back, listeners. And if you joined us before we started, my guest tonight on this week in interview is Miss Adelaide Paul of Dekkade Foods in LLC. She is the owner and CEO of a foods. Well, she said it's Dekkade Inc., but it's Dekkade Foods that's producing you say pastinator and some pepper sauce. What exactly is a what do you call it? A pastinator? Pastinate?
Pastonade.
Pastinator. Pastinator. Yeah.
It is PASTONADE.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastonade is again, I love playing with words. So I took a little
Oh,
bit.
you created that one
I
too.
created that, but that's another one. It is one
Okay.
of those words where, whenever we're out selling, people say, "What is a pastonade?" So the reason it's called a pastonade is because all our products, just to begin, are all our products are all natural, 100% natural. There are no foreign preservatives in there. Everything we use, fresh herbs, throughout all our products. The pastonade essentially a marinade. It can be used as a marinade. It can be used as a sauce. It can be used as a pesto in your pastas. It can be used as a paste when you're cooking. Also, you can add it in. You can use it as a condiment in your sandwiches. You can use it. I just had a sandwich tonight that Jeff made. That was the very delicious. He used the pastonade in tuna and sardine sandwich. You put it in your sandwich.
Can
Amazing
Sam, I
flavor.
don't know if you have the photo of that product. You pull it up so people
Yeah.
can see what it is. Go ahead, Ali.
So it comes in two distinct flavors. The green one has a base of garlic and parsley, and the red one has a base of paprika and thyme, with other herbs and spices. One of the things that we, in making that, I kind of went back and forth over and over having to do is to make it get to the point where it actually can sit and look like that in the bottle and not separate. In the beginning, when I started making it and when I had to send them out for everybody, because I thought, oh, I had gotten there, I was disappointed because the stuff was separating, the leaves were one way. But now through trial and error and just adjusting certain parts of the recipe, it sits in the bottle, and it will not separate. And I know that one of my greatest gripes, or one of the part of decade that I really want to continue, is the tradition of using fresh ingredients without adding all these preservatives in there, because you come from a nature island, and that's one of the things that when we cook in Dominica, we use all natural ingredients. So oftentimes when I, like, for instance, if I'm doing some fish, if I'm going to grill some salmon, I just put the green pasta is, or if I feel like using the red one, I generally tend to use the green one on fish and the red one on meats, but you can use it either or.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just put it in a pan. I just, like, if I want to just grill it, or I have this recipe that I make with pompano. I just put it over it and stick it in the oven. The other day I did some I'm not big on beef, but I did some short ribs. Kyle and I were talking about, it's like, mommy, you have to try that short rib. He loves cooking too. Kylie's a chef, and I decided to try it, but I just used the pasta for my main seasoning, and it was just phenomenally delicious. And so that is what the pastanet is. It's just, the reason it's called pastanet is because from the paste, you get the PAS from the paste, the you have the ADE from the marinade. You can use as a marinade. You have the
Mm.
paste, you have the condiment, so the ON from the condiments. I always created. I'm like, what's a passionate? What's a passionate? And it could be good, and it also could be bad, because I go out a lot. Actually, I was out today at the farmers market selling, and oftentimes, the people come up to me, and it's a product that, I mean, it has been very well received in our community, in the black community, and also in the white community. I was out in Long Beach today selling, and same thing. The people come up. I have repeat customers who come up, and They buy something like three and four. I have one customer. She came right to my house the other day. She picked up about 7 bottles, and she's a vegetarian, and she said that is the only thing I use on my vegetables. It's that good. So we've gotten a lot of reviews from it. The hot sauce is just to kind of quickly jump into the story of the hot
Mm-hmm.
sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I say all of this, and let me just pause because I really do want to just say this, give credit to Jeffers Joseph, who has been there with me from day one, helping me through this, my good days and my bad days and my sad days and my crying days and my happy days and every day. And he's been there, whether we're going, and he's just been such a supportive person who has been there. I mean, consistently, regularly. Sometimes he comes up with ideas, certain things, even certain things I have on the label. He'll like, why don't you put it on the label? Even, you know, I'm the cooking part, the creation of the products is me. Sometimes he's like, how do you come up with these ideas to create those things? But I think it's very important that we acknowledge the people who are there for us and who are there with us. And he's one of those people who has been there consistently from day one. I just want to say thank you so much, Jeff. My mom, oh my goodness, my rock, I love her so dearly. My siblings who have been my backbone, oh my goodness, my rock of my people. I don't want to really call names, but there are just some names I have to call. I have to call my childhood friend Gloria, who still says, girl, I remember when I was small, I used to come in your mother kitchen, girl, there's no place like your mother. And you used to cook those Sunday meals. And I have Gloria, and I have my friend Melinda, who is like a sister to me from another mother. My friend Yakima, I know she don't call her name, but I have her. Yeah, Yakima. And again, just so many wonderful people who have been there, just so supportive, the good days, the bad days, the not so good days, the ugly days. But these my rock, Jeff and Mommy, these two, my dear son Kyle, who constantly, every time I get up and I feel that I have to go further, I know that, if anything happens to me, this will be, Kyle's. And so, I just kind of want to acknowledge these people as we
No,
continue.
certainly it's important because you don't go by yourself
No, we
if you
don't.
want to go far.
Yes. And then all the customers, all my customers, people who have, given me the opportunity to have, like, for instance, Dale Dangleben and Kate, who did the carry brunch, where we were able to present our products last year to so many customers. You have people like other entrepreneurs from Dominica, Alfia, who oftentimes nowadays, we're always on the phone. Hey Alfia, I saw this, we're doing this event here, did you hear about this event? And so many other people who have continued to support, and the customers who continue to reach out and leave those really great feedback and reviews on the pages. So yeah, so
Yeah,
this is
TDN wants to uh, we want to play a more central role, a supporting role in that as well. We're playing some ideas of where we can provide a space where people can come and find
yeah.
the various business people and entrepreneurs. I've had, in the last couple of years, I've had quite a few businesses come through. And so the idea is to really get our folks acclimatized and accustomed to the new quality of product that we're getting.
Yes.
Because, not long ago, the quality was, well, it's Dominican, so we support it because it's Dominican. And we support it because we know what's in it, is the seasoning we use from Dominica. But the presentation was not exactly what we would. There was some compromise on there. It was always tasty and always, but like you said, you send your product out, and when you see the photo of it, the oil is on top, or it's separated out, and you don't feel that. But now you look at your product. Sam put up some of the pepper sauce, so you can just see how professionally done that it is. It's a product that you can feel proud to have on your spice rack. It's a product you feel proud to have in your nice kitchen. It's a product that you can feel proud to make a gift of. you know, you have maybe a co-worker and you want to tell them about stuff from Dominica, you can a nice package with this. It's so well presented. There is no issue in having a little package with two pepper sauce and a pastonade or two past and give it as a gift. This will give you a little flavor of what our food tastes like. Um, and so the quality is what we want to be able to introduce our audience and get them to understand that you you buy it because it's Dominican, but you're also getting a world-class product. And so that is what I see, and that's what I would like to congratulate you on, Adi,
Thank
in
you.
terms of being able to and I'm hearing your story that you did this thing from your kitchen, you know,
Yes.
and you figured out where to go to get the recipe, where to go to test to get it stable, where to go to make sure that you're meeting all the regs and everything that you need. Um, can you tell us? Can you tell listeners where they can get your product?
Oh, certainly. You can get my products currently on my website, www.dekkadefoods.com, dekkadefoods.com. That's
Mm-hmm.
where you can find them. You can purchase there. You can have different options of payments up there on there. So you can certainly get them over there. We are in a few stores, and there's another little story about the stores. I had to kind of put a break on the stores. When we started, we started off with a bang, like everything was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we had gone in, we'd done 10 stores in like 2 months, or and we were just going. And then all of a sudden, like life happens, there was this huge explosion at Calverton. It's literally there's a gas line in one of the walk-in bakeries that exploded, and it blew off the roof. It blew off I mean, it literally there was an explosion. The whole place exploded. Thank God there were not very many people there. There was a lady who worked. She got some injuries in her head. Nobody died, thank God. But that has shut it. Literally, the kitchen has not reopened fully yet. We're almost this close. I think we just got an email. I think we're opening in 1 month because they had to order brand new walk-in oven. And these are like thousands of dollars over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't use the oven, but because of everybody using it, they had to put it on. They had to have a partial opening for everybody. So, yeah. So anyway, I cannot lose my trend
So
of
you're
thought.
talking about this stars. You guys
Yes,
were
so yeah, so
really.
when that
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
happened, thank you. When that happened, we had to stop production. We literally had to stop production, which and I've learned in life that every disappointment is a blessing in disguise. When I get disappointments, I don't just I mean, I have my days when but I'm learning every day that, this is a stepping stone for something bigger. And so what happened when that happened, I always kind of when we were out in the field last year, we did the Queen's Night Market, and the Queen's Night Market is a place where you sell food. They want you to sell authentic food. So we had to do like Dominican food. We were doing bakes and codfish and pela, and we were selling them there. It's a really good place. I mean, they have like thousands and thousands of people coming there every Saturday night. It's a lot of work. I mean, you leave home from 2 o'clock. We start prepping from 2 days in advance, and then you cook all this food, and you have to also cook at the facility. So we used to bring the pastanates there, and they were using it as a sauce, and they were like, wow, that sauce is so good, that sauce is so good. But we want something spicy, we want something hot. And I remember one time we were producing the pasta at the facility at Calverton, and then just looked at me and he said, you know what, that would be so good if you could do a hot sauce with that. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So those culminated, and so when the explosion happened and we really couldn't go and sell anymore to the stores, I sat down, and that's when I started playing with all these flavors again. So I wasn't really into all these different peppers, and so I went and I did research, and I started working with habanero peppers, and so, I knew Scotch bonnet from home, and chili peppers, and the strength, and the jalapenos, and the serranos, and the chili, the small chilies versus the large chilies, the red chilies versus the green chilies, the qualities in them. And so I did a whole thing on
Did
pepper.
you ever find out what is the real name for Bonamajac?
Yeah, Scotch bonnet.
Scotch
The
bonnet
Scotch
is
bonnet.
Bonamajac.
But so yeah, Bottom is Scotch bonnet
Oh, okay.
peppers.
Mm.
And so the Scotch bonnet, so the yellow hot sauce. So that's when I did the hot sauce. So the yellow hot sauce has the Scotch bonnet and the the hot scotch bonnet and the habanero peppers with a little bit of papaya and mango.
Mm-hmm.
So really hot and but very flavorful, and that's one of the things again we pride ourselves on. With again, it's 100% all natural, no preservatives. So these came out, and so we have with these are not in the stores yet. These hot sauces are not in the stores yet for two reasons. One, we I decided to before we go to the stores, we wanted to test them. So we've done over 300 bottles. We've sold over 300 bottles of those hot sauces. We did a lot of sales during the December, November, at the farmers markets. So we're just waiting. I'm just waiting on this one schedule process from Cornell again, to get these in the stores. So once we get these into full production with the pastinates, we're going to do one sell into the stores. So
Uh-huh.
hopefully I would say maybe by about maybe what are we in February? Hopefully by April or so, we'll start having them in the stores again.
So
Um,
which stores you say they're available in?
so far these hot sauces are not in the stores, but you can get them on the website
On the
or
website, and you can ship to anywhere in the US.
anywhere in the US. I ship to
Okay.
California, I ship to Texas, I just shipped to Boston last week, I shipped to Atlanta, Florida, anywhere.
Can you ship to Canada? We have some listeners in Canada.
Canada, the only thing is, I unfortunately it's very costly. I don't mind I'm doing it, but they would have to pay an increased price for
So
shipping.
the customer would cover the cost of
Yes,
shipping.
yes.
Okay.
Oftentimes, even like when we started, it's amazing how the cost of everything has gone up. So, even though we have like a flat fee on our website for
For shipping.
and that generally tends to take care of shipping around the East Coast. Even so, we normally subsidize from the business a part of the shipping because it doesn't cover it fully. Like for instance, let's suppose I'm shipping to Atlanta. Atlanta would generally be about 18 to $20 for shipping, and we normally on our website we charge $12 flat fee for shipping. So the extra fees we get it from the cost of the hot sauces or the
Mm-hmm.
pasta.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we put that.
That's a big margin that you give up.
Yes.
Yeah.
hmm Um, uh, right now, we certainly want to get the products more in the products in the stores. But like you say, one of the things that we did was you have to check your margins, and another thing for people who are listening and people here in New York and in other states, one of the things that really helped me tremendously to get to this place where I'm still growing, it's still a lot of work, it's still a lot of challenges. um, I did a course with Queen's Economic Development Center last year. And when I signed up for the course, I honestly didn't even know why I was signing. I didn't even want to do it. And I remember the lady who ran the course, Bhavna. Bhavna kept calling me, Adelaide, what do you share? We're going to close the course. It costs 300. I said, no, okay, I'll just pay half and I'll pay half later. Then I said, okay, I'll just pay for it, $300. They give you $100 back once you graduate. And it's one of the best things I'd ever done. And Tony, and that's one of the things that is so important. Look for the resources in your area. Look for all the local resources. There's so many resources out there that can help you. And this is where I learned to do the proper business plan for Dekkade Foods. And with that, I had done the business plan for the pastonate. And so that I entered the business plan competition. And when we completed the business, after I did the course, they entered me for the business plan competition. I did it, and I think I was selected as a finalist. My plan was selected as a finalist, I think, in February, and then they selected me to compete in the startup competition, pitch competition, and I entered that, and it was another. I mean, that was just another beautiful thing. I remember I won the food category. Decade won the food category. That was a $10,000 grant towards the business, and so
Wow.
things like that. There are many, so many resources. Even today, I did a webinar today for becoming MWBE certified. And
Right.
yeah, what is MWBE? And for all the people who are listening, who live here, who want to have businesses too, it is called a minority women business enterprise. And
Enterprise.
yeah. And so when you become MWBE certified with the state of New York, or you can also become federally certified, you can bid for contracts. And somebody will say, well, you're making products. Why do you want to do that? Why do I want to do that? Because guess what? There was a time I worked at I worked there for 1 year. I worked at the Rikers at Brooklyn, in Brooklyn. There's a Brooklyn,
Correctional
yeah,
facility.
yeah,
Hmm.
down there. And I worked in the health department, because they have their own hospital in there, and I worked in there as an executive assistant there for 1 year. And I recall we used to have to go in the kitchen to check the what food how the inmates were eating. And so when I would go in there, I would see like huge things that they would order to feed the inmates. And so that is one area that also could provide additional revenues for a business like mine, because places like hospitals and the prisons and airports and they can give you a contract, buy these products. Even the military, if I become MWB certified federally, the military they buy ketchup and they buy mayonnaise and they buy mustard and they buy all those things. So all of these things, they can
You're
be.
able to
Yeah,
supply them. And MWB, minority slash women owned business enterprise.
absolutely.
And very, very, I mean, Ali, apart from telling us about your wonderful products, you give so much information to folks. So many gems you drop. Find out what's going on locally. There's so many little things going on at the library, at the different schools. Just if you're doing a business, just really research it, talk to people, you make your network, your opportunities are there. And so I would encourage folks to just follow your lead. Um, and of course, you said you have a YouTube channel where what's the name of the YouTube channel? You said it's
Kids of
um,
cooking.
Decades of Cooking.
And
Um,
also Food Startup 101, where I really go into detail. So all of that information that I'm sharing with
mhm.
I started. I do have to create something. I got a little
Yeah.
bit
So now I want to send people there, so that'll
yeah,
probably give you an incentive to go fix it.
absolutely.
Uh, yeah, and folks, I really want you to support Adi. Not not just for the sake of supporting, but I am sure you're going to enjoy the products. You're going to enjoy having a pepper sauce that gives you the effect of the pepper, but still adds flavor. Because some peppers just make it hot. And so, you're busy wiping your nose and the sweat and you don't enjoy the food. But there's sometimes you will get a nice pepper sauce that is flavorful and also has some of the heat. So go on the website, it's decadesfood.com, right? So can you hear me?
Foods,
Decades Food.
decadefoods.com. Decade,
Decadefoods.com. So decade is spelled DEKKADE.
mhm,
Decadefoods.com. Go
yeah.
on there. You can get, she said she can ship to anywhere in the US. Even if you're in Canada, you can ship, but just know that you may have to kick in a little bit more for the shipment. But I mean, if it's going to cost you an extra $20 to get some really nice condiments and you passed on it. You passed on it. Adi says you can use it on a sandwich. So that means it's good to go as is. It doesn't necessarily require cooking. Or you can use it as a marinade where you use it to pre pre-cooking when you season it. Um, you can see the quality of the product. It's very professionally made, well labeled, and it's done at a commercial kitchen that goes through state inspection and state certification and all of that. So you know you're getting a very high quality product. And of course, nobody cooks like Dominicans, so you're going to get that flavor as well. Adi, we believe it or not, we're out of time, so I'm going to let you do some closing statements, talk about your products and what we can look out for in
Yeah.
2023 and 2024 and 2025 for Decade Foods.
Well, we are going to have the hot sauces as soon as we get that final scheduled process from Cornell that we can produce commercially. We're going to have them in the stores this year. I am working on some new products. I'm working on some wing sauces. And interestingly, I just last night I got this. I got accepted at a certificate program at Cornell at Cornell University, which is food development course, and it is a scholarship. I won't be paid anything for it. I am so excited because all the other ideas that I have, instead of having to do the trial and error, I'm going to get the whole insight into the food science itself. And so, instead of having to use all these other chemicals to preserve your products, how do you get all these natural foods to emulsify and not fall apart and break apart? So we have a lot of products on the way. We still have the punches that I don't talk about them because alcohol is another set of it's another on another level. But
Mhm.
ultimately, I would like to get the punches out there too, commercially done. And I do have a protein shake that I'm working on also, that I will be using as that for the Cornell. You have to have a product, so that is the product that I hope to bring to the market, a natural protein shake. It's not, and there's another story behind it that maybe sometime when we get the time we can do. But there's a natural protein shake that I've been working on with all natural products again. Very healthy, very good for you. So these are some of the things in the pipeline. We do expect Decade, the brand, to continue. There are some other little areas that I've already started diversifying in, but nothing to talk about right now. But that's where we are. And it's 1 year, and I can say that within that 1 year, the plan that we have, and if we look at it, we have done quite a bit of what we said we were going to do.
And it sounds like you're just hustling. You go all over the place. I see your postings on Facebook, and the excitement that you feel about your product, it shows. And the quality obviously is there, and the passion is there. So with all of that, there can only be success.
Yeah, yes, Tony. I mean, it does inspire me. It makes me very happy. It gives me life. Doing what I do. Like I said, and maybe one of the things that I forgot to tell you is that another very important aspect of the business is making sure that your finances are always in order and paying Uncle Sam. You got to get your taxes done regularly. So when all these grants come through, there are always grants that the government is giving, to assist small businesses, to help them grow, to help them scale up. That when it comes, you can say, well, okay, they always want, oh, did you file your taxes in 2021? Did you file your taxes? And that's one of the things that we have to make sure that we run a real business and not just, something that, is a hobby. If it's a real business, it's a real business. We have to do it the right way, do all the necessary things.
Well, certainly. And of course, it seems like you're always on your hunt, always finding out the things that are happening. So, folks, I encourage you to follow her on YouTube. Go check it
Also,
out.
also, I do have a Facebook page, Decade Foods LLC, and my
Okay.
Instagram also is Decade Foods, at Decade Foods
At
LLC.
Decades Foods. Okay, so they can follow you at those places. Patsy Matthew saying her punches are great too, and she too is so so folks are expressing their satisfaction with your product, and that must feel really, really good. To see that you created this thing and you had a vision, and you're seeing that vision not only unfolding in front of you but expanding and growing. So a lot of folks are telling you congratulations, and I want to join them and wish you all the best and continued success. It took a long time to get your way to this weekend interview, but you have an open invitation.
Thank
Maybe
you.
when this pepper sauce is getting
The stores.
into the stores, you can come back. You know,
Absolutely.
we'd love to have you on again.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to everybody who supports Decade. Without you, Decade would not be Decade. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And we hope that we'll continue making a quality product that you can be proud of buying. We want to serve our customers well.
Thank you. And listeners, I want you to not just take the information and file it. I want you to actually go and buy the product. Okay?
Thank you.
Go to decadefoods.com and buy the product. Support support, support, support. It doesn't cost that much. You can spare a few bucks to really support. And in your support, in supporting, you're going to get a product that you might find out, oh, I really cannot cook without
Yeah.
bypassing it. Oh, I really cannot cook without this pepper sauce. And so it can become your go-to product rather than a barbecue sauce or ketchup or whatever it is. It's more exotic. It's most likely more healthy.
Yes.
And of course, you will be supporting a very positive and conscientious business. So Adi, I wish you all the best and
Thank you so
continued
much.
success. My regards to Jeffers. I can see him with his apron um, right on there helping you as well. So
And it's hot.
and his hat, right? It's great to do these things together. So
Yeah.
I wish you guys, as I said, continued success and thank you.
Thank you again.
All
Okay.
right then. Bye bye. So, listeners, there you have it. Just delicious deliciousness. Who doesn't like food? And you have these products that's enhancing your food, enhancing your recipes. If you come from work and you don't have time to really season up your food or whatever it is, it's so good to just take a sauce and just put it on your food, and it's going to be flavorful. Nowadays, so many people cook with air fryers and that sort of thing. I imagine those sauces would be perfect for an air fryer, whether you do it on your chicken or your fish, or try stuff. Do some sweet potato fries and use the pastillate as a dip. There's all kind of experimentation, and you cannot be afraid to experiment because, as Adi said, they only use natural ingredients. So we look forward to see where Dekkade is going to from as they strive forward. Before we go, I think today is Independence Day in St. Lucia. So for our Lucian listeners, happy Independence Day to you. If you're celebrating your birthday, happy birthday to you, or your anniversary. I wish you a happy anniversary. If you're going through some health challenges, I wish you a speedy and full recovery. If you've lost a loved one recently, my condolences. And of course, if you're celebrating your achievements, your accomplishments, congratulations. We celebrate with you because we celebrate the success of each other, because when someone succeeds, it's evidence that we can succeed as well. And so we wish you all the best. As I said, um, with all these businesses that are flowing through, we really want to have maybe a central place where you can come and you can get services, someone to do your taxis, someone to fix your car. You want to get some products from Dekkade Foods and so on. So hopefully that will be coming soon as part of our offering TDN and This Week in Interview. So folks, I would say good night to you. Have a great rest of the week. Those of you who were carnivaling, soak your feet. I hope that you're not too sore. Just take care of those feet if you have challenges, and treat them well because they serve you so well as well. Good night, listeners. I'll see you next week on This Week in Interview. And I'm your host and guide, Anthony Drago. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend the hour or so with me every Wednesday. I appreciate your time. Good night.